Checking the engine coolant level. Fluid is visible in the sight glass. The reservoir is secure to the bus. All the bolts are present. Hoses are secure and I don't see any leaks. Checking the exhaust system. It's secure to the bus. All the bolts are present. Clamps are present. It's not touching any wires or hoses. Looking at the whole system, I don't see any damage or defects. There are no dents to it. I don't see any rust or soot on it. That would be signs of leaking. So looking at the hydraulic fluid, power steering fluid, fluid is filled up to the fill line. The hydraulic pump is secure to the vehicle. All the bolts are present. All the hoses are secure to it and I don't see any leaks. And it's gear driven, so there are no belts to check. The water pump is also secure. All the belts are present. All the hoses are connected. I don't see dry rot or cracks in those hoses and I don't see any leaks. It is belt driven, so I'm checking it for tension, make sure there's no frays or dry rot cracks on it. The alternator is secure. All the bolts are present. All the hoses are connected. It's also belt driven. Checking that belt for tension. Make sure it doesn't have more than 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of play to it. It's not cracked or dry rotted or frayed. The air compressor is secure. All the bolts are present. All the hoses are secure. I don't see any dry rot with those hoses. I don't hear any air leaks. And the air compressor is gear driven, so there isn't a belt to check. The engine oil, I check my engine oil level here. I pull the dipstick out and make sure that the oil is filled to an adequate level. I don't see any leaks coming out of the engine oil. The frame is secure to the bus. I don't see any damage to it. I don't see any dents, illegal welds, or cracks on it. Looking at the engine compartment as a whole, all of the hoses appear to be connected. I don't see any leaks. I don't see any missing clamps. Underneath the bus, I don't see any puddles or leaks in the engine oil, the transmission, the hydraulic fluid, or fuel. So I'm checking the lights on the back to make sure all of my lights are secure to the bus, that all the bolts are present. For the lights I can't touch, I can visually inspect that they're secure. All the bolts are present. They're not cracked. They're free of condensation, and they are all the correct color. The reflectors are present. They're also clean and secure, and they are the correct color. I'm listening for leaks in the air brakes, the suspension, and the airbags, and I don't hear any. Looking at the condition of my tread and the sidewall of my tire, I don't see any abrasions, bulges, cuts on them. Both of my tires have a tread depth of at least 2/32 of an inch deep, and there's a space in between my tires so they're not rubbing together. The rim, I don't see any dents or illegal welds or cracks in it. It's an inverted rim, so there are no spacers to check. All of my lug nuts are present, they're secure. I don't see any rust trails or loose threads, shiny threads that would make me think that they're loose. All the bolts are also present and secure. I don't see any rust or shiny threads off those either. My oil-filled hub, checking the seal, make sure it's not leaking. I have a valve stem here and here. I don't see any dents or bends, they're all secure. And if I had an air pressure gauge, I would make sure that both of my tires are inflated to at least 120 psi. From what I can see of the brake drum, it appears to be undamaged. I don't see any cracks in it, and it's free of contaminants and oil. Behind the tire, I can't see my brake chamber, but if I could see it, I would make sure that it's secure to the vehicle, that all the bolts are present. I make sure that it's undamaged, doesn't have any cracks in it. I check my shock absorbers, make sure it doesn't have any dents or cracks in that. Make sure all the bolts are present. I also check my airbags, make sure that they are undamaged, that there's no dry rot or leaks coming from them. Both my shock absorbers and my airbags have mounts, and make sure all the brackets are present, that there aren't any bolts missing, and that they are secure to the vehicle. I check my slack adjuster and my push rod, Make sure that my slack adjuster is undamaged, doesn't have any cracks in it, that all the bolts are present, and that the push rod doesn't have any play in it. And then I check my drive shaft, make sure that it doesn't have any twists, dents, no damage to that. And the universal joint, make sure that it's free of any debris, that it's properly greased, that it's not binding, and that it's secure to the vehicle and free of cracks. Checking around the tire, making sure that all my hoses are secure. I don't see any leaks from them, and I don't hear any air leaks from any of the hoses. The fuel tank is secure. The cap is also secure. Take the cap off. I have a rubber gasket on the cap, and it also has a chain. And I don't see any leaks coming out of the fuel tank. Glass on my doors is clean, secure, and not cracked. The weather stripping is in place and is secure to the bus. I don't see any dry rot on it. My hinges, they are secure to the bus, they're not binding, and they're properly greased. Checking my lights along the side of the bus, along the top, along the side. They're all clean, secure, not cracked. I don't have condensation and no color. My reflectors are clean and present. They're the correct color and they're undamaged. I also have mud flaps, two on the front and one on the back. They are secure, they're undamaged, and they're not dry rotted or hanging off. My front door, the glass is clean, secure, not cracked. The weather stripping is also in place. I don't see dry rot on it. I don't see any place where it's coming off. My hinges appear to be secure, they're not binding, and they're all properly greased. I don't hear any leaks from the air brakes, the suspension, or the airbag. Checking my tire condition, both the tread and the sidewall, I don't see any abrasions or bulges or cuts on them. My tire tread depth is at least 4/32 of an inch deep, and it's not retread. My rim, it's not dented, damaged, doesn't have any illegal welds on it. My lug nuts, they're all present, they're all secure and tight. I don't see any rust trails or shiny threads. My packed bearing is not dented or damaged. The valve stem is not damaged or broken. And if I had an air pressure gauge, I would check to make sure that my tire is inflated to at least 120 PSI. And my brake drum, from what I can see of it, doesn't look damaged, doesn't look cracked, and I don't see any contaminants or oil on that brake drum. Looking behind the tire, the brake chamber is secure to the bus. I don't see any damage to it. I don't see any cracks on it. My shock absorber, it is secure to the bus. It's not dented or cracked. All the bolts are present. My airbag is also secure. All the hoses leading to it are secure. I don't see any dry rot on it. There are mounts for both of my airbags and my shocks. There are no brackets missing. All the bolts are present on those mounts. And all the hoses behind here and the whole compartment appear to be secure, and I don't hear or see any leaks coming from those hoses. The mirror housing is secure to the bus, and the glass is clean, secure, and not cracked. The windshield is also clean, secure, not cracked. I don't see any stickers or anything on it that would obstruct my vision. This mirror housing is also secure to the bus. The glass is clean, secure, and not cracked. My wiper blade, the arm has tension to it, secure to the bus. The blade is in good condition. I don't see any cracks or frays on it. I don't see any dry rot. This is for both of my windshield wipers. This one also has tension to it. Checking all of my lights, making sure they're all secure. All the bolts are present. They're not cracked. They're clean. They're the correct color. They don't have any condensation in them. And my reflectors are also clean. They're secure to the bus, and they are the correct color. I can't see my steering box, but if I could, I'd make sure that it is secure to the bus, that all the bolts are present, The hoses are secure and the hoses aren't leaking any hydraulic fluid. My steering wheel is connected to the steering box, which is then connected to the steering linkage. The steering linkage is secure to the bus. I don't see any damage, any cracks on it. The pin is in place and I don't see any wear around the edge of the pin. The slack adjuster is secure to the bus. The push rod is also secure. I don't see any damage, any cracks on them, and the push rod does not have any play in it. Looking at all the hoses behind the tire, I don't see any leaks. I don't hear any leaks from any of those hoses. Moving to the inside of the bus, checking the front door. My glass is clean, secure, not cracked. Handrails are secure to the bus, and the area is clear of debris. Moving on down the bus, checking all my seats, all my handrails as I go down the bus, making sure they're not defected in any way, making sure all of the bolts are present. Check my top emergency hatch, it is secure. Moving up towards the front of the bus, checking the back door, make sure my glass is clean, secure, not cracked. The handrails are secure to the door and the area is clear of debris. I have 4 emergency windows. I'm going to test one, make sure it works, and then secures properly. Moving up to the emergency equipment box. The fire extinguisher is charged. The needle's pointing up into the green. I have 3 emergency triangles. I have first aid kits. And this bus is breaker driven, but if it was fuse driven, extra fuses would be located in here. And now we'll go on to the operator area. Check my emergency roof hatch, make sure it's secure. Turn my bus on a night run. Wait for the diagnostic check to finish. Also have my ABS fail light came on and it came off. So I'll move on to my air brake test. My wheels are chocked, closing my front door. Checking to make sure that my air pressure gauges are between 90 and 120 psi. They are within that range. So I'm gonna put my foot on the foot brake and release the parking brake and time for 1 minute and make sure I don't lose more than 3 psi in this 1 minute. The minute is up and I haven't lost more than 3 psi. I'm going to pump the foot brake at no less than 60 psi. I should get a low air warning light and siren, and then at no less than 40 psi, my parking brake should engage. Low air light came on above 60. And my parking brake engaged above 40 psi. So all 3 parts of my air brake test have passed. I'll start my bus up, make sure that my parking brake is set and the bus is in neutral so it's safe to start the bus. I'll wait for my oil pressure gauge to stabilize and flip it into fast idle. I'll turn on my climate control. It might not turn on automatically, but I'll make sure I note when it does. I'm going to check my hazard light indicators. Both indicators are working. Check my left turn signal indicator, that's working. My right turn signal indicator is working. And my high beam indicator is working. My climate control came on. Test my defroster. Feel air coming out of it. Check my left windshield wiper and my right windshield wiper. And fluid. Fluid is present. My windshield from the inside is secure. It's free of obstructions. My mirrors are also clear. I can see out of them. They're free of obstructions. All of my gauges, all the glass around them, they're clean, secure, not cracked. My air pressure gauge has built back up to the range between 90 and 120 psi. My voltmeter is reading within the proper range. The air temperature gauge is slowly climbing. My oil pressure gauge has stabilized. Next, I will test my parking brake. The bus has an interlock brake system that when my parking brake is engaged, it should not go into gear. So my parking brake is engaged. Put my foot on the brake and try and put it into gear. The gear is flashing, so it's not going into gear. So I'm going to test it farther. So lightly press on the accelerator, and power should not go to the drive wheels. And it didn't. So my interlock brake system is working. And then I'll test my horn. The horn's working. And last thing, I'll deploy my ramp and make sure that that is working. Would you mind assisting me with the outside light check? At the front, we'll be looking at the left turn signal, the right turn signal, four ways, and the high beams. Then at the back, we'll be looking at the left turn signal, right turn signal, four ways, and reverse lights.
Beautiful.
Retrieve my chocks, putting on my seatbelt, making sure that it doesn't have any defects, it's secure, no grips in it. Pull it forward. Brakes are working properly.
Now we have 3 basic skills control tests. For the basic skill control test, you will demonstrate your ability to maneuver a vehicle around other objects. You will receive points for pull-ups and crossing over or touching boundary lines or cones. You will be permitted to exit the vehicle and check behind. When exiting the vehicle, you must set your parking brake, place the vehicle in neutral, and must safely exit facing the vehicle while maintaining 3 points of contact at all times. You must complete the exercise as directed. If you open the door, move from a seated position, you will be scored for a look. If you see me wave my hand, stop the vehicle and return your vehicle within the exercise boundary lines. I will give you specific instructions for each exercise prior to performing them. Do you have any questions? Straight line backing. Pull forward past the alley. Stop when I wave my hand. Then back straight through the alley until your vehicle is cleared the last set of cones. You're allowed 1 free pull-up and may exit the vehicle only once to check behind the vehicle during this section. Set your parking brake and sound your horn when you complete the exercise. Do you have any questions? Offset backing. Drive straight forward to the boundary line ahead. Stop your vehicle, then back to the opposite lane until the front of your vehicle is past the first set of cones. You are allowed 2 free pull-ups and may exit the vehicle a maximum of 2 times to check behind your vehicle during this exercise. Set your parking brake and sound your horn when you completed the exercise. Parallel parking. Drive straight ahead past the entrance to the parallel parking space, with your vehicle parallel to the parking area, then back into the parking space. You're allowed 2 free pull-ups and may exit the vehicle a maximum of 2 times to check behind the vehicle during this exercise. Your vehicle must be completely within the space when completed. Set your parking brake and sound your horn when you have completed the exercise. Do you have any questions?
No.